In today's video, we are going to show you the whole build of this greenhouse.
We're pretty excited about it and happy with how it came out. So we'll go through how we put it all together and how we came about getting it.
It's a used greenhouse, but new to us. This new greenhouse is pretty exciting for us because of how big it is going to be. This is a 96 foot by 30 foot model, and it's going to definitely be our biggest greenhouse yet. Anyways, let's get into the build and let you know about the process to get this one put together. So we ended up buying this used greenhouse for $1,000 for the frame from another person who disassembled the greenhouse a few months back and transported it to their home, and then we transported it from their home to our home. And they had to sell it because their life changed and they decided they didn't want a big greenhouse anymore. So we ended up with a bunch of pieces, and our next thought was, how in the world are we going to put this together? So we ended up going back to where the other person had taken the greenhouse down from. The property was for sale, and they allowed us to walk through the existing greenhouses that were still on the property. And this greenhouse was pretty close to the one that we ended up purchasing. So we were able to get an idea of just what to do, and then later on we figured out this is not the exact same model that we ended up having, but it was close. Another thing that we did that really helped us in putting together a used greenhouse was we called the manufacturer Stuppy and asked for a copy of the manual in order to put it together, and that helped so much. Having that on hand, there are so many different bolts that are required, and putting a greenhouse together is very new to us. So this piece of the puzzle really helped us have a understanding of how to put it all together with all of the pieces that we ended up acquiring for our used greenhouse. This is where the new greenhouse is going to go. Here are string lines. And the old greenhouse is way over there. Next, these big holes need to be drilled. There's a lot of them. And the pipe for it's right over there. Here's the pipe that's going to go into the ground. The rebar is for putting in there so that it doesn't twist. And this pipe might not look like much, but this is about $3,000 right here of materials. So even though we bought this greenhouse secondhand and for a pretty good discount for all the rest of the pipe, this stuff right here is already starting to add to the greenhouse bill. And I know there's going to be a lot more.
So here we took the 3-point auger that we bought for this project and drilled out all the post holes for each post at 6-foot intervals. We made these post clamps, I'm calling them, to clamp the posts in. Because our auger is extra large and we need them to hold the pipe in before we have concrete poured. So we're going to sit over like that, and then the pipe will go in like so. And then we'll just suck that screw in and hold them right there. That's 8 feet. So I think that should hold them overnight. We'll get them all plumb and in the line, and then the concrete truck will just drive in here and pour concrete, fill up the holes, and we'll be done setting the posts. This was honestly the hardest part of the whole project, making sure everything was plumb, level, square, and in the perfect position for the bows. We had to watch the weather like a hawk to make sure that these posts didn't get blown out of alignment. We had some record-setting winds this winter. We had some gusts up to 90 miles an hour this winter in the valley. We took some 1x2s and braced them on the pipe with Gorilla Glue duct tape and a wooden stake driven in the ground to just brace them for the night on a calm night, and that worked pretty good. Even if we had a 15 or 20 mile an hour gust, that probably would have blown our pipe out of alignment.
The new greenhouse is getting its concrete poured today, right?
Setting posts. Yep, getting our posts anchored in.
So I want you to tell us how intricate this process was to get all these posts in the right spot.
It was a major pain in the butt just because they're heavy 3-inch pipe, galvanized pipe, and they're 10.5 feet tall. They go in the ground 30 inches and there's about 8 feet exposed. And they're set every 6 feet and they have to be perfectly square so the bows that go on top will all fit. And and they have to be perfectly plumb and level and all that. And it's just a lot of checking and making sure you get everything right.
So let's go look at them up close.
Thank God we bought a used auger for our tractor, but it turned out to be a little bent, so it kind of corkscrewed down some holes in a different way. But Tim got good at running it. Tim, Jory's dad, helped me do all this. Concrete guy's here. I'm gonna go talk to him.
So we are having this poured by a company because, as you can see, we have snow on the ground. It is almost January. It's like December 29th today. And they have a special mix that will set up in these temps. Right now we are above freezing though, but we definitely didn't want to pour these ourselves. We wanted it to be a nice, good pour. Inside of here, I will show you, there's a piece of rebar. Well, it's hard to see. Yep. In every post so that they don't twist. And you'll have to explain this system of securing them. We were really worried about getting a big wind. We have gotten some really bad winds lately, and it would be such a pain if we came out here after spending hours to secure them. They literally spent hours securing this in order to get them all in the right spot, all upright, and then come out and find that the wind just took it away. So that's what you see with the system here, securing them. And then they came out at dark last night in below freezing temps, well below freezing temps, to use a laser level along the top to get it nice and straight along the top. So like, let me show you. Looking down the line. I mean, that looks pretty darn good. It's all been measured and remeasured, measured again. Let me show you this one. Looks pretty good. And looking down the line this way, they look pretty good. This has been one part of the greenhouse we've been kind of stressing about, honestly. Concrete trucks coming in. So I'm gonna set it up over here so we can time lapse the pour. So there they go back there, starting out. Looks like John's gonna go help them out. And we're hoping they can just shoot the concrete right into all of the post holes. There's a 12-second delay in stopping.
Yep, that's pretty good. Here we just helped the truck driver get the concrete in the hole and he can get on his way. It was well worth hiring him out versus mixing it ourselves and doing all that.
Mom, look at this. This is shaped like a moon.
It is.
Tell me the inside of it.
We were taking advantage of the unseasonably warm winter we had and started putting the bows together here, and it was very nice that we got the greenhouse from a guy who was planning on putting it back together himself, because he took pretty good care of everything and made sure it was all organized, as well as the fact that I got the manual from Stuppy, who's still in business and manufacturing greenhouses. So that helped a lot. That was a major factor in helping put this greenhouse back together. And this went pretty slick and easy and not too big of a deal. Just took a little time.
Getting all of these put together that are gonna go over there.
At this point, we were just putting the bows up on top of the posts. It was a very fun and rewarding part of the project. It was just bolting stuff together, and we made sure to put the purlins in as we put the bows on to make sure they were braced for wind in case we had to take some time off, and just kept going with it and bracing them as we went. And then once we got to a stopping point, we quit where we were at so the wind didn't come up and blow some of the bows and bend things. We used a truck to place a ladder on and made it quite a bit easier, and we'll start up tomorrow when we get more daylight.
Okay, so we need to have a way to pick these up and put those up there and bring them across the yard. So we use scrap 2x4s and put a little bracing, use the chain to come out and carry the weight here from the bottom of the bucket to the top of the bucket. And then we made a hook and the beam comes off and you drive away and get another one. So that's all there is to it. They're just stuck in there. This keeps the bottom down and the chains then are the strength of it. And then we put some diagonals on it so it wouldn't flip side to side. It's just real simple, no big deal. In the transfer of the materials from the old place to here, some of these straps were lost and we couldn't find them anywhere in town, so we forged out little hoops, bent them, drilled them, and now they clamp the beam together for the diagonal. Oh, and this was a fence pipe that we smashed on the ends and ground off to fit, because it also didn't come with the project.
We didn't have any of that hardware for the brackets that went on the frame, and Tim spent a considerable amount of time forging those up in his forge, which is really nice because we didn't have to order them online and wait and pause the project. After that, we got started on the hip boards that were at 8 feet tall on these sidewalls, and that was just drilling the posts out and putting some brackets in and getting them all braced up. A lot of ladder work and just moving around. We used 2x6 treated lumber to make sure that the lumber wouldn't rot in the humid environment of a high tunnel. Just another easy part of the project, just plugged along, and it was not hard at all. Took our time, no stress involved at all. Takes a lot longer just because this greenhouse is quite large. Next, we laid weed mat along the post because we knew that weeds were going to be an issue, and we wanted to get something kind of semi-permanent in here before we put the bottom boards on, and didn't have to like snake the weed mat underneath that. And so we just got that stapled down, really secured, and it's a super heavy duty weed mat that won't break down. Over the years, Dennis from Undercover Ag hooked us up with a weed mat, and it's really good stuff. So here we are building the end walls. We used 2x6s and we did 24 on center for the studs. And we did this because we had experience with our other greenhouse having plywood end walls, and the end walls taking a lot of the wind. We thought that this would be a more long-term fix to the degradation that plastic could take, and we didn't want to have to replace that plastic constantly. And so we chose to do plywood, so it would be a longer-term solution for that. On the windward side, we did a small 4-foot man door, and on the downward side, on the east side, we did a 8-foot door that I could drive the tractor through. And so we just put the studs on and then stood them up, marked them, and then cut them off to length. So then we took 1/2-inch plywood to make the walls. The doors we made out of 2x4s and plywood.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Fun part.
So you're doing the flashing?
Flashing, yeah.
Okay, and then tomorrow, what's tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're going to attempt to stretch fabric over the top, plastic.
Plastic tomorrow.
So we're going to try to put the greenhouse plastic on ourselves. And we had a pretty good learning experience from this because we try to do everything in a perfectionist way, get everything perfectly square and even. And we should have been moving a lot faster and putting the wiggle wire on in a lot more places. We had the perfect day. We picked perfect weather, and we should have just done it a lot faster because we learned after Dennis came that you don't need to be that particular about getting it perfectly squared and even and everything, because you have extra overlap on your plastic. And so you're going to trim that off anyway. Might as well just get it secured, pulled tight, and then you'll be fine. That was our big lesson learned from the whole experience. More people definitely would have been helpful and could have made this process a lot better and more effective. So we had the plastic secured in a few places with wiggle wire, and a tiny little gust of wind came and picked it up and tore it right down the middle.
Not good.
Making it totally unusable and trash. And so we had to just can this whole thing, call Dennis at Undercover Ag and have him come bail us out and show us how to do it the right way. Attempt 2 with the plastic went much better because Dennis knows what he's doing, does this for a living. And we had a much worse weather day, but he handled everything well with the crew that he brought out, and they got it tacked down and secured, and everything looks great. We even had a pretty good wind pick up the plastic and try to tear it off, but Dennis had it secured enough where it managed to hold it down, and was much worse than what we experienced on our own time, but he knew what he was doing and made it work, and everything went smoothly. We have another video on our channel documenting this experience of our failing at putting the greenhouse plastic on ourselves. And if you'd like to see it, you can find it on our channel, and it is a wealth of information. It might save you a few $100. The sidewalls had me kind of intimidated because just the moving parts and everything, but turned out that they weren't bad at all. It really helped to have Dennis from Undercover Ag to pick his brain and have him give us pointers on what to do, because it really helped clarify the process. We just used, I think, 1-inch EMT on the bottom for the roller, and then use set screw connectors to connect the EMT parts together to keep them from rolling, and wiggle wire them up the sidewalls up on the top. Dennis got us some really heavy duty sidewall material that's like woven, and he said it should last a lifetime, which I believe. It seems like it's way more heavy duty than normal plastic and can roll up possibly up to 8 feet, but we really only roll it up about 4 feet most days. Next, we're going to get the greenhouse planted and get this thing functional.
So that is it. It is all done. John and my dad worked a lot, as you saw, all winter, and now we have this greenhouse done and it's planted. So we're going to show you some of its features super quick. So going inside, we did opt for double doors so he can drive the tractor in here, which is really nice, but mostly we just open one side.
We planted it out with tomatoes, cucumbers, and a few zucchinis. The other greenhouse we had was always very nice and loaded with tomatoes and cucumbers, and we could sell pretty much as many as we grew. So that's why we wanted to have this bigger greenhouse full of tomatoes and cucumbers.
And this one has some roll-up sides. Show us the roll-up sides real quick, 'cause that's different for us.
That's very nice, because that one is built mostly for growing in cool weather, and this one's should be better for the summertime and get some better ventilation. I know a lot of people have fancy automatic roll-up sides and everything, but this is fine for us.
This is what we
And
have.
it can go up quite a ways, but that right there makes a huge difference.
And both sides have roll-up sides, and then it has a back door as well. It is a little cooler out today, so we're keeping the sides down. And the next steps for this greenhouse will be trellising. We have all these tomatoes to trellis to the ceiling. Well, the 4 rows on the right, the 3 rows on the left will be bushing, so they will not be trellised to the ceiling. We hope you like this video, and maybe you found it interesting, because we sure found it interesting about how many extra pieces went into buying a used greenhouse just to make it a reality, to get it all put together.
Yep. I'm sure this will not be our last big project that we tackle, so stay tuned if you want to see whatever else we got going on coming up. Thanks.